You're very welcome back. On this video, I'm going to talk about outcome-based thinking. I've had people talking about this recently. We talk about not counting scores, about staying in the moment, all that sort of stuff. And the focus, I think, I'm even thinking about swimming here. I'm thinking about hurling, the GAA hurling, football stuff, sailing that I've done, like different sports, golf, things like that. And people go, you don't want to get too caught into the medals. You don't want to go. And actually, for me, outcome-based thinking is not at that level, and I do have outcome-based thinking. I think it's the definition. I think it's got a bad name in some respects because for me, the outcome is execution of a perfect process, which is different to a 10.9 or 654 in shooting. That's 60, 10.9 shots. The unicorn. Um, I actually think, from my perspective, it's all about outcome and the outcome of my process, the outcome of the steps within my process. And I want to talk about that here because I think that's actually what the outcome should be focused on. Not the medals, obviously, not the winning, not the losing, all that good stuff. It's about execution of the process. Everyone is focused on the win, the score, the number. But if you bring it back to the process that delivers that and focus on that as the outcome, the numbers will come. The outcome of the process is what really matters, and the steps. You can't optimize a shot score. You can't optimize a gold medal. You can't optimize a win, but you can optimize the steps. My outcome is not the goal or the score, the shot. It's not the medals for sure. It's the perfect shot. It's the execution of the steps in a precise manner, repeated. The sport, again, we shoot at a bullseye that's 0.5 millimeter in size. People will have seen this. I'm a Paralympic rifle shooter, but people will have seen this where they see a big black circle on a target, and actually that's not what we're looking at. So those are the rings of the target, but the bullseye in there is a white dot, and it's a 0.5 millimeter in size, which is the size of the ball on the ballpoint pen. And at the level I'm looking to compete, hitting that alone is not going to secure anything for me. There are 10 concentric circles. So because we're so precise and because it's so competitive, it used to be where everybody shot integers. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, for example. But then what they did was they said, well, people are so precise now, we need to actually have decimals. So between the 1 ring and the 2 ring, for example, there's 1.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, and so on. That bullseye is 0.5 millimeter in size, and there are 10 concentric circles within it, starting at 10.0 on the outside, and the very middle of it is 10.9. To hit that, you need to have a process that supports, because for qualifying, it's 60 shots. For finals, there's 24 shots. And you need to be hitting that bullseye at 10.5 precision and above to get into a final. And that's only the final. Then it's a different job in the final. But it's not about the score, it's about the process, because if you are hunting the score, you start letting emotion and things like that in there. Good shots, bad shots. By the way, good shots are as hard to continue with as bad shots are to get away from. Because if that's what your focus is, you're building pressure on yourself. So the process, that's the outcome I'm looking at. The perfect execution of the process is the outcome. If a number doesn't have a diagnostic value, I'm not really impressed with it, not interested in it, because I can't tell you why it held and I can't tell you why it broke. There's an interesting one. Here, I've used this analogy before, it's a simple enough one. The clock is right twice a day, even when it's broken. Similarly, you'll get people who shoot 10.9s and suddenly they think they're in the vein. I'll just do that again. And the reality is the process they had didn't support the 10.9, and now they're chasing the numbers, and now there's emotion. And now the next one's not a 10.9, and there's emotion on that. And the next one is a 10. So they're hunting, they're literally trying to get away from one emotion or the other. Either I'm under too much pressure because I'm shooting well, or I'm trying to get away from bad scores. But if you're in a process and you're executing that process and the outcome is execution of the process, you can analyze the process, you can analyze what gave you the shot, what didn't give you the shot, you can modify the process and execute the process again. And even that, by the way, can be a win. If you're able to modify your process to deliver the perfect outcome, an executed process that's perfect, then that in itself can be a medal. For example, dry firing days. There's some days I'll go in and the outcome is muscle memory, if you want to train it and trust it, they say. So train my process until it becomes second nature. Like people driving a car. So you've done this when you started out. You might have been a bit rough on the clutch. You had to look down, for example, between first gear and second gear, see where things were. As time goes on, very soon you'd know where the radio is, and while you're changing gears, your hand's over there anyway, and you switch channels, and you can, wouldn't say take your eyes off the road, because that's not what we're talking about, but it's not as much of an overhead to execute that. And that's a process in itself, a driving process. So something similar to that. Plans don't even plans don't deliver outcomes unless that plan has been tested, unless the plan has been validated, for example. Um, and the more experience you get at your projects, for example, the more you know that that will work and that won't work. You're not being busy, you're being productive. So a plan that's failed, a failed plan is a failed plan. Just having a plan doesn't mean you're going anywhere. I've seen people with plans and not even under scrutiny, you glance at it and you go, sure, that could never possibly work. Similarly, in training and shooting, someone who has a training plan, you'd know in a second whether it is or isn't going to achieve anything, or whether they feel that they need a plan to validate what they're doing. But if the plan stacks up, you see improvement. If the plan doesn't, you don't. So I'd say, if for people who are talking about outcomes rather than the outcome being a shot, rather than the outcome being a score, rather than the outcome being a medal, look at really what the outcome is you should be working on, and that's an execution of a process. If you've picked something that doesn't have the ability to analyze it, I think the outcome is incorrect. So a medal is, if it's an outcome, how do you analyze that? How do you get better? How do you improve? So I'd say be careful with the outcomes that you pick, or be happy with the outcome that you pick. That's even a better one. If the outcome is a gold medal, you're not getting them. Well, then be happy with it. It's not that might sound odd, but actually you're getting what you thought you were getting, which was a gold medal. You didn't win it, but it was as fictitious and unbelievable as anything is that you can't define. So yeah, pick something. The outcome in my shot process, it's a perfectly executed process, and the better I execute it, that's my gold medal right there. Whether or not the score comes out at the end, if I have worked my process through 100%, I'm happy. It doesn't matter what the outcome is. I have no gold medals in mind, and also I don't know who else is showing up on the day. That's the beauty of this sport. They can have a day that everything clicks for them. Their process worked perfectly. And that's, I believe, where the outcomes come in, not the medals. Once the process is strong enough, you can put pressure on it. It doesn't break. It may slow, but it'll never collapse. That's the beauty of it. And it is going to, in our sport, it's definitely going to be tested. We have noise, we have movement, we have interruptions, all these different elements. If the process was flimsy, it'll fall apart. I just think, yeah, to finish it out, there is no problem with outcome-based thinking. It's just what the outcome people are looking for is. Thank you.